Hi there. Welcome to the How to Leverage IDX Broker with Paid Campaigns webinar. My name is Luke Walsh, and this is actually the second webinar. The first webinar didn't get recorded because I didn't press the button on time, but that gave me an opportunity to compress some of the content and answer some of your questions and get this thing just a little bit better. So why don't we dive right in and start with the IDX4. So the IDX4 is something that I consider the four top pages that you can create in IDX Broker to deliver the highest results. And what we'll do is go from the IDX4 to pixeling and tagging your site, and I'll dig into some of the details around that. I won't be able to get into some of your questions that you may have around the detailed pixels and how to tag certain events and things like that. There's a lot of online documentation about that, and we also intend to have some future webinars that cover the same content and pixeling itself. And then I'll get into the Facebook and Google campaigns. Google being the ideal campaign source for search marketing and search keywords and showing up in search, and especially on the mobile side. And then Facebook is ideal for the display campaigns and running audience targeting and things like that. So you can run audience targeting on Google as well, and that's something I would also recommend. Again, something for a future webinar is getting into audience targeting and doing some of the amazing things that you can do once you have somebody that has visited your site. You can follow them around on the internet and send them custom messaging. So for those of you not familiar with it. And then research, rinse, repeat. I'm just going to get into, how do you follow up once you set these things up? What do you do to make sure that you're successful with it? So let's dive right into the IDX4. Start with that one. So I'll just cover the top four here, and then I'll minimize the slide deck here so we can dive right into the product. These are the four pages that I recommend that you create initially. Open house results, and that's just a page that shows the open houses that are coming up over the next week. Now, we had some questions in the webinar about why would I advertise other people's listings or open houses. Really what you're doing is just creating a page that makes your site more sticky, so people come back to the site, they come back to that page. The other value is that if you're getting that page indexed and you have some good SEO around that page and your site in general, you're going to get some indexing around that page, and so it'll show up for keyword terms without you having to pay for those terms. And so again, adds to stickiness to the site. A lot of the traffic that you get, you're not going to convert, and just accept that, but accept the fact that as your site becomes a more reliable source, people see you as a trustworthy source and may eventually contact you. Open house details, that's a little bit different. You have an open house coming up this week. I mean, that's an easy one to create. You just go to the details page for the open house. That one is more about the ad campaigns themselves and where you target those campaigns and to whom. Custom Polygon is really another name for a neighborhood page, and it could be a polygon, it could just be a search filter for the area or the neighborhood listed in the MLS. In most cases, in a lot of cases, for all the 600 MLSs that we cover, a lot of times that MLS neighborhood is not that accurate. One of the reasons why we've had customers request the Polygon feature, and then we added it into IDX Broker Platinum. So that Polygon feature allows you to build out a polygon that matches, and I'll show you what I would recommend. You can match some of the common Polygon searches out there found on Zillow. So you can go in and mimic some of these neighborhoods that are publicly available neighborhoods. And I think Zillow offers that as a public API even, but they also build the pages themselves. So you can kind of mimic that. And then the 24-hour new, that just adds value to your site. It's to drive people to the site and get them to come back and just look at new listings before they've signed up for an email update. Obviously on that one, that's a great compelling page for creating some kind of lead capture around that specific page. I won't get into some of the lead capture questions. There were some questions around what to use for lead capture, and we have our own lead capture tools and settings. I would also recommend, if you're willing to make the investment, there are very specific tools designed for lead capture. And again, I think that's one of the things that we like to stress is that there are a lot of options that you can use with IDX Broker that are experts in their field. So In some cases you may get an IDX that also offers many different, a CRM, lead capture, and so on. Oftentimes what's missing is that expertise in one particular area. So with IDX Broker, you can tie it in with your favorite CRM like MailChimp. You can set up the lead capture with something like Unbounce. Unbounce is one of my favorites, and there's some others like leadpages.net, I believe, or leadpages.com, unbounce.com. That's UNBOUNCE.com. That's another good one. They're set up to build basically landing pages or even pop-up style pages that show up on a particular page, and you can trigger those systems so that they show a lead capture modal window or a pop-up for a particular page itself. So you could do that for the 24-hour news. So not to get too much into the details, I just wanted to cover that because I had a lot of questions around Unbounce and the domain name for that, and then some of the options out there. But I would recommend looking into that, and if you're serious about marketing, definitely make the investment, leverage the IDX pages with some of these solutions out there that do a really great job. And you also use our lead registration options. That's an option as well. We have a lot of people that are very successful with that as well. So you could start with that and then move on to something like an Unbounce. So moving on from here, the first part of this, which is creating the IDX Broker pages and the links and the widgets. With the links, you can log into your IDX Broker account and then go to create. And then what I recommend is that you choose the basic search just because it's less complicated. Maybe remove the min and max depending on what you want to do. You can obviously fine tune things quite a bit. So each one of these pages is, you can fine tune. So you can create dozens of pages, open houses. So let's say you have certain segments of open houses and you want people to be able to click through, you could do that as well. So, but just creating a value initially, just has an open house, and then once you click on that, you can see here some of the results, and that becomes a saved link. I'm going to assume that a lot of you understand IDX Broker, or at least don't need a full walkthrough right this minute. I think that there are some knowledge base articles that talk a little bit about how to build these pages and then save them. So in this case, we have open houses and then 66 results returned for this particular area that I set up the open house. These are all open houses, and then it'll show the open house details here. So you've got that. That's for an open house results page. And then what you do is go to the next step. And then with the next step, what it does is it allows you to give it a page title and a URL name. So you could call it Beverly Hills open houses or whatever the area is. You put that keyword in there and put the page title in, and then put in a meta tag. And these are SEO options. This makes it more attractive to the search engines because you've got some keywords that are relevant to open houses. And then a subheader. You could put whatever subheader you want in for that open houses, for the open house information. You could say something like, contact me if you have any questions, or you can do whatever you want with that. The subheader shows up right above the results on the open houses. So, and this is true for any page that you build. So that's a page link. That's how you create a page link in IDX Broker. I'm going to take you over here. Let me close this one. And take you over now to the widgets and building a widget. It's the same concept. The difference between the widget and the link is that, let's say you go here and has open house, and then you can make it responsive. You can, although if you use if you have a responsive website and a wrapper, for those of you who may or may not be familiar with our wrapper system, if your website is responsive, that is, it's mobile friendly, the widget and that page, depending on if you use the mobile first templates, it will be fully mobile friendly. So that's a big thing right now, and especially on the Google side. Google is looking at whether pages are mobile friendly, how they look on mobile devices, and they're ranking those higher when someone does a mobile search. So pretty important to know the mobile stuff, and or to have your site set up that way. So here, let's take a look at the results. Here it's showing the results of the widget not the widget. If you go here, let's call it open house, and here the naming is less important. So let's put it caption height 10, and then it's less important for the widget because the widget it's going to be indexed by Google, and that addresses one of the questions we had during the original webinar. But the open house, what's more important is what's on the page itself. And so if you do a preview, you can see that the widget, you can also style the widget, but this is the equivalent of a page. The difference here is that, let's say you have WordPress, or you have a website where you can create content. Looks like it's pulling some, there's a problem here with the property photo, but if you have a widget on a page that you've created on your site called, open houses, and you want to control that page rather than do it through IDX broker, that's easy to do through the widgets, and those widgets are JavaScript and they will get indexed. So there's two ways to do it, to build these pages, and I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of both ways that it can be done. Let's go on to the open house details. If I go here and let's look at this one, little listing, only 13 million. Yeah, impressive. So here, the open house details, let's say you have this listing, it's an open house, you want to advertise it in campaigns. Now I'll get into the campaigns later, but this is the details page that you could advertise. And the other thing you could do is build a widget that's just based on one listing, the open house listing, and then post that on a page, and then that way if you want a different style or whatever you want to customize it on your own site, you can do that, do it the widget style, because there's a lot of custom CSS available. So again, I won't get into too much of the detail there. There's a lot that can be done, but that's something you can do is, with the details page. And again, I'll get into the campaigns and how you would run an open house detail page later, a little bit later. The next one is a custom polygon and how to do that. So with the custom polygon, what I recommend that you do is look at, if you use an example, the Zillow site has a lot of state-based real estate listings down here. If you click more, it'll take you off to a page like this, and then you just dig down, you go into United States, Oregon, Lane County, that happens to be where we're located, so I just drilled down into that. And then what happens is on the right side, you'll see this list of neighborhoods. Okay, these are all the neighborhoods in this area, and they're based on neighborhood geocoding data. And so what you can do is just drill into this neighborhood, and then take a look at the area. And when you go into your, we'll go back here and go into saved links. Let's hit refresh here. Saved links, and then what I'll do is go to Polygon, and then I'll go, let me close this one out, and I want to look for Cal Young. Okay, so it's right along Coburg Road, runs up Beltline all the way around. So what you can do is just find that basic area, click your polygon, follow Coburg. This is a non-scientific version of what you would do. This is a very fast version. I'm just showing you essentially how to build an area and then block it off. And then you can set up min-max, maybe bedrooms, you might want 3 on that, and and then next step. And then the next step is where you would create that neighborhood, and you could just call it, you could reuse the term Cal Young real estate, Cal Young area. That's an important area. Obviously, a lot of people in Eugene may be looking for listings in the Cal Young area, and they want to go see the updates, and you can create a link that then shows up on your site. Or if you have the WordPress plugin, you can create this link and then refresh the plugin, load it up, and then it'll automatically show up in your WordPress site. So you can do that. And then if you have an agent, let's say you're running an office and you've set it up and you've got an agent that you want to send or assign to that link. Let's say you're a small office and you've got just a couple agents and one of them specializes in that area. You can assign the link to the agent so that if lead information comes in, it will go straight to that agent. That's how you build a link, and then save and create another link. You can just do that again. So you can just keep doing that with your links and get things lined up. that way. So that's a custom Polygon. The other thing that you can do is, and you'll notice this on the main Zillow site, and again, we recommend this. Things like new construction. I mean, there are a lot of different options that you can do, and what we recommend, and Zillow doesn't have it on their site here, but just set up a saved link that, and I'll show you how to do that. That's based on 24-hour new, and again, that basic search. Go back here, select the criteria, and then you would select the criteria of max days listed. And so max days listed, you want it to be, one day. So 1 day listed, view results, just to check. I've got a low price and high price. You may or may not want to do that. Maybe you do want that, and you could say new listings priced between 500 and 600 or 500 and 700. Depending on the range, yeah, that would make sense actually, because this is a lot of results here. You're going to want, you could drill down into very specific price ranges. So that's how you build a new, and then again, I'll show you in a bit once I get past the pixel part and showing you how to set up pixels and what that's about. You could take each of these individual pages like this, and you could even target people based on their household income. So there's a lot that you can do with that as well. So that you can do the same thing with widgets. You can build the widget and then use that, put that on your site instead of using the IDX pages themselves. And then the widgets can also be found if you're using WordPress and the WordPress plugin. They'll also be found in there, so you can pull those in. They automatically show up when the API call goes out to IDX Broker. So I've streamlined this a little bit to focus more on the pixeling and the tagging. That seemed to be of a lot of interest to people. So I'll zoom in on that area and just give you an overview of how that works. Initially, what you want to do is create a Facebook and AdWords and analytics account. So the Facebook, I'll show you in a minute how to find that and sign up for it. It's business.facebook.com, I believe. And then Google AdWords, it's easy to find. Analytics, Google Analytics, easy to find. You'll want one Google login for both the AdWords and Analytics. That way you can switch back and forth easily. And then you'll want to connect AdWords and Analytics, and I'll show you where that can be done as well. And so what you want to do is initially just create those accounts. That's probably no more than an hour or two, just going through and step by step, follow their instructions and set things up. Number two, you're going to want to pull the pixels and tags from Facebook and from AdWords and from Analytics and follow their instructions. That's another 2 to 3 hours potentially, maybe less for those of you that are very technical. And in some cases, you can just, if you have WordPress, you can add a plugin and then tell the plugin your unique ID for your AdWords and Analytics, and do it that way. So it's possible to just do it through a plugin if you have WordPress. If not, and you need to put the code in, talk to your designer, or you can put it in yourself. Just follow the instructions carefully. The third step is to make sure that your IDX pages contain the pixels and the tags. There are ways to do that. Facebook has a pixel tool that is built into Chrome. I recommend Chrome browser because there are so many add-ons for Chrome, and they're great add-ons, and they're great for development. They're great for just checking your site, even if you're not a developer. If you are a developer, I'm sure you probably use Chrome. We've noticed that a lot of people on our site use Chrome, and a lot of developers are visiting the IDX Broker website. So make sure you're tagging everything. Just validate it, and you can validate that through Analytics and AdWords. And then the fourth step is creating the campaigns, and I'll get into the campaign part towards the end here. And then let's go off to, I just did a search for Facebook Ad Manager, and that's where you find the Business Manager for Facebook, and that's where you can manage a lot of things. You can manage the ad account. You create set up a credit card with the account. You can manage your page. You can manage multiple pages from AdWords. You can manage campaigns. There's a lot you can do with it. You can, even if you have multiple campaigns, you can set up links between accounts. So anyway, it's very complex, but I would just start by creating the account, and then the same with AdWords. Just do a search for AdWords, and it'll come up, and you can create that account. I won't walk you through the whole process of creating the accounts because that's, it's fairly intuitive if you get in there and just, dive in. So don't be afraid to dive in. You can't do anything wrong. It's technology, but it's fairly foolproof. Just watch your budgets and don't set some crazy budget when you first set up a campaign. For those of you who are developers, you probably know all of this. You already have it all set up. So you could skip this part, and I'll add some tags so you can jump around so that you don't have to listen to everything. But this is the process of just getting things going and the pixels going. And so the first step, you're going to want to go to the pixels area in the Facebook. This is Facebook now. You'll go to the pixels area, and from here you can do a lot of things. Once you can set up your pixel, which is what you're going to want to do. If you have a pixel already, you can create conversions, and this is very cool. So you can add this code to your page to say, like for a lead capture, you could add something around when a registration form is completed. And there's a lot of documentation around how to do this, and you can also email a pixel code if you don't have it. So there's a lot that you can do. I'm just going to cover the setting up of the pixel. And what I'd recommend is, set it up with, unless you have, you can follow some of these instructions if you're advanced enough that you have Google Tag Manager. That's great. We use Google Tag Manager. It's fantastic. If you're using Wix or some of these other sites, you can you can integrate it that way. Copy and pasting the code. That's what we normally do. So you just click on that, and step by step, they'll tell you exactly what to do. Don't cut corners. Follow all the instructions, put it in correctly, and what happens is, once you put this pixel in your website, if you're integrating with IDX Broker correctly, and you have what's called the wrapper set up, that's under Designs, Wrappers. There's a thing called a dynamic wrapper, and it's a URL that our system, IDX Broker, will go and ping that URL and then pull everything above a certain block of code and everything below a certain block of code, and then display IDX Broker content in the middle. So it's basically pulling that content in and then hosting it. So go from there. So I should probably explain subdomain as well, not to get too into any tangents here, but with the subdomain, you can create a custom subdomain and then call it search.yoursite.com, something like that. And there are some instructions on how to do that for those of you that may be interested in making sure that you get that SEO, you get those SEO friendly links. The other option for those of you that want to have it all on your site, you could just build the widgets like I showed you before, where you just create those custom widgets and put those on your site. So don't want to get too sidetracked by that, but I just wanted to point it out. Install the embed code and then check the pixel status. And so with the check, it'll tell you whether it's on or not on the site. Okay? So that's basic pixel setup for Facebook. Now with AdWords, it's somewhat similar. You come in and you create your pixel. You go in, create an action, set up the tag, and then it's step by step. And you would find that in your navigation here, right here, if you're using the new AdWords style, which most people should. I would recommend the beta because it's much more user friendly. And click on these little dots, little hamburger dots, and then conversions. And then the other piece I would do is make sure that you click on linked accounts, and if you have a Google Analytics account, link it up with AdWords. Okay, that's pretty important. So the two things you're going to want to look for: conversions, follow all the steps, and then linked accounts, and make sure AdWords and Analytics are linked. And so again, I won't walk through the process of setting up Analytics or the process of creating an AdWords account, but I do just want to show you the most important places you want to be in order to do this, because there are a lot of choices here, and I think you really just need to focus on a couple in order to get things running. And then here's the link to Google Analytics. So if you click on that, click on the linked accounts, it'll take you there, and then you just go in and click details, and it'll send you into so that you can do that. So that is a kind of a quick summary of tags. Any tags that you're set up on your site, if you have IDX broker set up correctly and the IDX broker pages, the wrapper, all those tags will show up on the IDX broker pages as well seamlessly. So shouldn't be a problem with that. If it is ever a problem, you can always contact support and they'll help you get that set up. So let's move on now. I want to talk a little bit about the campaign. This is really the heart of what I wanted to show. I wanted to prep everybody for getting here first to understand the value of running these campaigns, and then we can dig into some of the ideas. Basically get some ideas flowing so that you can test some things and know where to start. Again, this is not to give you the perfect scenario or perfect plan. As I said, I think the most important thing you can do is test and try some things. Try the IDX4, try those pages first, promote them, try setting up some AdWords campaigns and Facebook campaigns around them, and then go from there. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm in the keyword planner in AdWords, and that's easy to find in the AdWords interface. It's up in navigation, I believe, under Tools, and then it takes you to a planner where you can set up the targeting for your area, and you could even do a Google and search partners, and then you could even exclude some negative keywords if there's a chance that negative keywords will get in the way of real good results, and then do a search. Just perform a search. In this case, it's open houses, and so you could do open houses for that particular area. And in this case, I've targeted a state, but you can target a DMA. If I do this, I wanted to show Florida because there's so many results there for the whole state. But you can target DMAs, demographic areas, basically Nielsen DMA. And then get results for that particular DMA or that particular area, and then just go in and add to your plan. And you can add these in, and you can look at whether there's a lot of competition for the keywords. You can see the number of searches. These are all estimates, and then a suggested bid here. And so these are important keywords. These will help you show up and show your open houses page. And you could say, let's say if you had open houses real estate and you had a particular area and the bid was only 21 cents, say you go in and bid 21 cents or 25 cents. And for every click you're paying 25 cents. Well, every click may not turn into a lead, but you're getting traffic, you're driving that volume, and you're getting people at the top of the lead funnel who are interested in open houses. They're actively looking. At that point, it's up to you to determine how you target those people. And I won't get into the details around how to retarget too much in this particular, in this webinar. That's enough content for an entire webinar itself. But there are great ways to retarget the people who have come to these landing pages that you created, and send them another message that's slightly different. That, assuming that they're actively looking. You can tell which page they looked at, especially if you were to do an open houses page, and that open houses page is within a certain price range. You could retarget that page to them. You could say, hey, this new listing is live, that sort of thing. There are all kinds of things you can do to retarget that are really powerful. So, but I won't get into the retargeting. It could go on into an entire webinar. But this is how you set up. This is what I'd recommend when you set up these campaigns. And I won't go through a full AdWords campaign either and creating that. There's a lot that goes into those, but you can keep it simple initially. Just find the keywords and go from there. And so that's what I would do here with open houses, with just your general search campaign. And one of the advantages is a lot of people search from their phone, and so if you have a mobile responsive site and mobile responsive landing page that's friendly for mobile, they're going to land on that page and they're going to come back to it. And there are even ways to, and I had mentioned this in the original webinar, but I don't have the specific script, but there are ways to add a script to your IDX broker pages and your website that pops up a little button that says add this to your home screen on your mobile device. And so it becomes a little icon. It shows the, whatever the icon is for your site. So that's one way to get around, not having people installing an app. It's almost better if they just add the icon and then you can change your site on the fly without having to upgrade app code or anything like that. It's very lightweight. So again, a good source for a whole other webinar. But this is Google, this is AdWords. The other thing you can do is look for neighborhood keywords and focus on your neighborhood keywords. You know, let's say I don't particularly know any neighborhoods in Orlando prepared here, but you can find a neighborhood. You can find a neighborhood in Orlando, do a search, and then see if we can find one here, or even a city, that sort of thing. So, and then set that up and add that to your campaign as well. And then when it comes to the keyword text, make sure that the keyword text contains the neighborhood information. So the name of the neighborhood, what is the landing page, what is it giving you, what is it giving them? Is it daily updates or updates in some cases every hour for those of you that are on the Gen 2 system, which we're rolling out right now at about pace of about 10 to 15 new MLSs a week. And so you could say fresh information, fresh updates for this neighborhood and drive that traffic, and especially that mobile traffic. So that's setting up the kind of the generic AdWords campaign. And I won't get into the retargeting or the audience stuff, but I will later in a later webinar. Now let's move off to Facebook and the Facebook Ads Manager and take a look at that. So in this case, what you want to do is you're creating a campaign, and what they do is they expect an objective for the campaign. So you may want traffic. In the case of the open house or the open house detail, you may just want traffic. Or you may just want reach or brand awareness. So what reach is reach will essentially frequency cap the ad so that it shows to as many people as possible, not necessarily to as many of the same people. So you aren't going to have the higher frequency that you can get with the brand awareness. And then the other option is traffic. And then there's lead generation. Lead generation is that's a source of a whole different webinar, because they allow you to create these little lead cards where you can get leads directly from Facebook, and it's pretty amazing. Or do you want a conversion? Are you looking for a way you want to associate an event such as filling out a lead form with the conversion? And so it's really up to you. Again, I would do some more research on that. What I'm going to cover is I'll cover audience stuff. So let's just get started here, and we'll do this. I'll just call it reach. And what we'll do is look down here. What I recommend is you can take the detailed targeting, and in some cases you may want to exclude people that like your page already. You can look for people that are actively looking for homes. So in this case, I'll say, let's do a browse here. Actually, likely to move. So here are the examples. These are the examples that I had stored from earlier. So this is a good one. So this is a very broad reach. In this case, you're targeting the United States. I'm targeting the United States. You probably wouldn't do that. You would target your area, your DMA. You're going to target things like likely to move. They might like Zillow. They might be buying a house or house hunting. You could target by demographics, by the reported household income. Doesn't mean it's 100% accurate, but Facebook does a pretty good job of being accurate, because the targeting is often so good with some of these campaigns and results in great results. So that's the targeting. And I would recommend that you use some of this targeting for your open house ad, for just general open houses. That's for, again, just driving general traffic. And that would go back to the objective. What's your objective? Is your objective at the top of the funnel? Are you just trying to get frequency? Are you trying to get people to come to your site and then bookmark it on their mobile device? Are you wanting them to bookmark it in their desktop? Are you just wanting them to recognize your domain? Then in that case, you may you may just choose either reach or frequency and try maybe 2 campaigns, one of each, and see which one is the best, drives the best traffic. And then with the details, when you have an open house coming up, you probably Wednesday or Thursday set up your campaign. You could set up your campaign on a Monday or Tuesday, schedule it to run from Thursday through the weekend to prep for the open house, and then encourage that engagement with the open house page, so that you would probably do a clicks, just have it based on clicks and try to drive as many clicks as you can to that one. With the neighborhoods, you would do the same thing, just different keywords. The picture will pull in automatically, and we use all, with IDX Broker, we use all the, what they're called open graph image tags. And so all of, not just image tags, but description and so on. We've updated, and we have all the open graph tags automatically generated on the IDX Broker side. So when you post those, even if you post a details page to your Facebook page, it'll show the first image, it'll show the description, it'll show all the things that you need to have. And that's because of those open graph image tags and description tags and so on. So when you set up the campaign, you do it that way. And the same with the 24-hour new. Recommend setting up a campaign, multiple campaigns even. Give them a budget as small or as large as you can handle to test, and target some of these behavioral, anticipatory behaviors that Facebook is able to give you, because this will really help you drive more traffic and more interest to the site, because it'll show up when people have that intent looking for a home. So and then 24-hour new, again, like I said, set up the 24-hour new as, use your keywords. It should show the first listing in the 24-hour new landing page that I showed you how to create earlier. And so that's how that would work. That sums up everything in terms of what I wanted to cover here in terms of the Facebook and Google stuff and the importance of that. This is one thing I didn't show you, is just the growth rate, and Google's growing as well. Facebook is growing a little faster. 18% increase year over year is amazing worldwide. Of course, you're probably more concerned with the U.S. or Canada, the two regions that we cover with IDX Broker. And then just to keep in mind, Google is primarily where you want to set up your search campaigns for keywords and things like that. They also have their Google Audience Network, where you can target those keywords, retarget those keywords. And then Facebook is more of a display play. And then also they have this thing called Instagram Stories that Facebook purchased Instagram. And Instagram Stories is an amazing way, if you can even think outside the box and come up with some, maybe a virtual tour video or something along those lines. And you can target through Instagram, and just target Instagram through those Facebook Ad Manager campaigns. That again, probably a source for a whole separate webinar, but some food for thought, a lot of good things to think about. And just to follow up, I wanted to make sure that I covered all the questions around that had come up. And just to be clear, the setting up of the Pixel, that one we are going to have a webinar in the future. And I believe Antonio is working on that one right now. It's Antonio and Bishop as well, who's also an expert in campaigns on our side. But lead pages and unbounce. That's leadpages.net, I believe, and then unbounce is UNBOUNCE, and those are a couple of capture page options for you. And I think they have trials as well, so you could just go in and set them up on a trial basis. And then to address, there was a question around save links and widgets for SEO purposes. And I had covered this a little bit earlier, but yes, the widgets are JavaScript, and Google started indexing JavaScript a couple of years ago. And someone had mentioned the value of pushing some of this content, some of these IDX 4 pages, the 4 pages I highlighted, out through newsletters, email, and that was some great feedback, and absolutely a great way to further enhance the campaign. And especially as you get those leads, you have highly targeted audience, you could send them very specific landing pages, which is great. And then just to clarify, The Polygon results page that I showed, that is the the neighborhood page, does require IDX Broker Platinum. So it is that Platinum offers a few features that Lite does not offer. But if you were to sign up for Lite, or your developer partner got you set up with Lite, you could always request an upgrade later. So and it's only $20 a month additional for that one. And again, there's some other features that come along with it, including a full page. You can create a full page map search widget that you can place on your site. And then there was a question around the dark posts on Facebook, and that in some cases, and I thought this was a great point, and I'm glad somebody brought it up, that in some cases you may want to not put a post on your Facebook page, but just run it as an ad. And that's a great point, and that is something I would recommend. What you could do is just create the ad first, see the results from the ad, and then maybe later add it to your page, and see what kind of organic traffic you can get from having it on your Facebook page. So that's about it. I think I've covered just about everything, and to those of you that waited so long for this webinar, I apologize. I tried to make up for it by improving the content a little bit, and I hope that's what we were able to do. So have a nice day, and looking forward to seeing you on a future webinar.